Hello students, how are you? I hope you all are well and safe at your home. Students, as you know that recently I have uploaded a video on Renaissance and Reformation, and in those videos I have tried to mention all those things what were responsible for Renaissance and Reformation, and what kind of interrelation was there in between Renaissance and Reformation. So all those things I have made there clear. What was there, the fall of Constantinople, what was the king and pope's dispute, what was the effect of Martin Luther's teachings, how the Italy was a nice place for those learned scholars migrated from Constantinople. So all those things I have made clear. And what kind of role those travelers, those scholars, and the trade community has just played for the Renaissance. What kind of role was played by the painters, especially in Italy? Few painters played very important role. Among them, Raphael was there, Leonardo da Vinci was there, and Michelangelo was there. Uh, these painters have played a very nice role, especially in the field of painting, and other writers, what we have discussed in the last video. So many discoveries played very important role, like the printing press and the role of Galileo, and Machiavellian spirit, how it has influenced the society those times. So all these things I have discussed now in this video. What I have indicated in the last video, that this Renaissance has made very great impact on literature. So how literature was influenced by Renaissance. So all these things I want to discuss here today. Students, when the world has been opened, when men started looking the world as the global family, the local access was completely free. They have made themselves free from the cycles, from the bondages of medieval ages, and they have started thinking abroad. They have broad thinking. They have left the narrow mentality of Middle Ages. That's why the scholars of one country started just traveling in other countries to understand the classics of other countries and to understand the literature of other countries. In this way, one country was just influenced by, was just affected by, was just motivated by the literature of other countries. Here we are just talking about especially England. You know that Wyatt and Surrey, who has played a very vital role in the development of English literature, especially in 16th century. Students, Wyatt and Surrey, they have just visited different libraries of Italy, and there they have studied the literature of Petrarch. They have studied their 14 lines poems, which is called sonnet, the sonnet of Petrarch, who was an Italian poet. Petrarch, you can note it. The Petrarchan sonnets were studied by Wyatt and Surrey, and after studying that, they brought it in England, and they started the sonnet in England. That's why the credit goes to Wyatt and Surrey to start sonnet writing in England, and after that it was just followed by other English writers like Shakespeare, like Philip Sidney, like Edmund Spenser, especially in 16th century. So they have made a very nice and vital role in the development of English literature, and especially 16th century in the reign of Queen Elizabeth. This was the golden period of English literature, when so many writers were promoted, so many literary artists were motivated, and they were self motivated. They were just guided by other their contemporaries to write different kind of literature in different fields. So all these things were very remarkable. Shakespeare's role, Christopher Marlowe's role, especially the pre-university writers, we can say pre-Shakespearean writers who are called the university wits, George Peele, Robert Greene, Nasse, Christopher Marlowe. They all have made a great impact in English literature by the writings. So all these things I want to discuss here, because the from the later phase of 15th century, and especially in 16th century in the reign of Queen Elizabeth, and after Elizabeth, even in Jacobean era, when James I was ruling from 1603 to 1625, and after that, especially uh, even civil war was going on in I think, yes, it was 1643. So even in the time of John Donne, even in the time of John Milton, even in the time of Crowley, so Renaissance was there, and the literature was totally influenced by Renaissance. So here I have made notes कि what kind of literature was at that time, what kind of writers were there who has written the literary creation, especially influenced by Renaissance. So among those, the first writer, the first man, especially in 16th century Renaissance, before Queen Elizabeth, so Earl of Surrey is very nice personality, especially in field of English literature, who has introduced a sonnet from Italy. I have already made clear it, and with Earl of Surrey, it was Watt also played very important role, especially in the production of sonnets in England. So before Queen Elizabeth, the sonnets were introduced by Thomas Wyatt in England, and the credit of introducing sonnet goes to this very man who had just brought sonnets from England, from Italy to England. And after that, when Elizabethan age started, when Queen Elizabeth just sat on the throne of England, so this was the golden period, and Queen Elizabeth has just promoted and motivated the literary writing in England, and the writer just found themselves free to write, to just express their views without any kind of hesitation, without any kind of restriction. Total freedom was there. That's why the Elizabethan period, especially in 16th century, it is called the golden period of English literature. And especially this age was the age of lyrics and dramas. Lyricism was on height. That's why this age, Elizabethan age, is called the nest of singing bird, where Philip Sidney was there, Edmund Spenser was there, William Shakespeare was there. So they all have played a very nice role in the development of lyricism, especially with their sonnets and other lyrics. So here in Elizabethan age, the first name, what you must have in your mind, Edmund Spenser. Edmund Spenser, who is called poet's poet. Very nice poet he is, and he was born in 1552 and died in 1599. This is his period, and he is known for his great creation, Faery's Queen. Faery's Queen, you must have in your mind that it was a romantic uh, poem, and the form of poem of epic. The Edmund Spenser's Fairy Queen is an epic, and this is a romantic creation. You can never just forget the role of Sir Gawain and Sir Palmer, who were on an adventurous journey. Very remarkable. creation Fairies Queen is. And another very important creation of Edmund Spenser is Shepherd's Calendar. Shepherd's Calendar, very very nice creation, Shepherd's Calendar. And another very remarkable poem, what we have in my notes, a view of the present state of Ireland. Very remarkable creation this is. If you can note down, a view of the present state of Ireland. And dear students, you must have in your mind, again and again we have just repeated two times this creation. This is the prose creation of Edmund Spenser. Edmund Spenser has written Fairies Queen and Shepherd's Calendar in verse form, and this creation is a prose creation. Again, I am repeating the name of this book, A View of the Present State of Ireland. This is in prose. Very remarkable writer, and in this phase of time, in this Elizabethan age, Edmund Spenser has introduced a romantic approach of poems. And not only romanticism he has introduced, but also a mythical and mystical kind of approach was just introduced by Edmund Spenser. Although in his personal life he has faced several kind of problems, but he has contributed in the development of English literature very much. The next man, students, you can never forget. Elizabethan age can never forget. Because of this man, Elizabethan age is called the nest of singing bird. Philip Sidney, Sir Philip Sidney, very remarkable, especially for his sonnets. Arcadia, nobody can forget the creation Arcadia by Philip Sidney, and his collection of love sonnets, love poems, love lyrics, Astophel and Stella. Very nice collection of his poems, Astophel and Stella. A very nice collection of sonnets. This is lyrical sonnets, especially written on the theme of love and betrayal. In this creation, he has just given a nice approach of literary writing in the field of lyrics. Very nice creation. This is Philip Sidney. And another creation by Philip Sidney is An Apology for Poetry. A Defense for Poetry is also his title, and Forgiveness of the Poetry. In several titles are there, but the most important title, what can be asked in the examination, An Apology for Poetry. You must have in your mind the three creations by Sir Philip Sidney: Arcadia, Astophel and Stella, and An Apology for Poetry. These three creations are very remarkable. I am again reminding you, students, we are giving you the fruits of Elizabethan age. We are giving you the fruits of 16th century. Especially, we are just giving you the fruits in the form of literature of Renaissance. Actually, Renaissance has made the mind of the man totally free. The literary artist started thinking that we are inferior in the comparison of the other countries' literature. In Italy, in France, in Germany, in several countries, they are very much rich, especially in literary field. So they have started making themselves prosperous in the field of literature. And Henry VIII and Queen Elizabeth, they all have just promoted them well. That's why you have this kind of nice literature with you in the influence of Renaissance. Now in this series, the next important, very important man of literature, man of literary output is pre-Shakespearean, and he's also called the university wits, one of the university wits, Thomas Kidd. Thomas Kidd, students, nobody can forget Spanish tragedy. Nobody can forget. You can note down Spanish tragedy by Thomas Kidd. Yes, Hieronimo. You cannot you can never forget the name of Hieronimo. You can never forget the name of Belimperia. Belimperia is the heroine, and Hieronimo. Students, you have studied Hamlet by Shakespeare. And somewhere this creation is very much like Hamlet. Rather, we can say that Hamlet is very much like this Spanish tragedy, this great tragedy written by Thomas Kidd. In Hamlet, son has taken the revenge, and in this creation, father has taken the revenge. In Hamlet, father was killed, son was taking the revenge, and in Spanish tragedy, just opposite was there. The son was killed. Antonio, yes, Antonio was the son. Antonio was killed, and with the help of Belimperia, Hieronimo, the father of Antonio, was taking the revenge. Very nice creation. Spanish tragedy students, you can never forget, I think. And the next man, very, very important man of Renaissance, which has who has just produced a nice kind of literature, nice pieces of literature. Yes, it is Christopher Marlowe. Yes, Christopher Marlowe. There are many controversies are there. Later on, I will discuss. Actually, I have planned to make very special and very not only very special but very controversial things which will be there in that video I have planned to make, especially over Christopher Marlowe and Shakespeare. So I don't want to just disclose what I want to just to put in that video, but leave that point now. Now, Christopher Marlowe, 1564 to 1593, very short period of time he has given in the field of literature, but very strong, heavy output of literature, very remarkable piece of literature he has produced. Nobody can forget his creation, Dr. Faustus. You have studied, students? Yes, the seven deadly sins. Yes, and while I was teaching in the class, Dr. Faustus, among seven deadly sins, the overdiet was also, just for joke, I am just telling that overdiet is also one of those seven deadly sins. If you are eating too much, just not like me, I'm on diet today. Nowadays, not today, but nowadays, we are just utilizing our time in a corona period. So we are on diet. Just kidding it. Students, nobody can forget Christopher Marlowe's great creation, Dr. Faustus. And Tamburlaine the Great is another his very great tragedy. Dr. Faustus is a tragedy. Tamburlaine the Great is also a tragedy. And students, here I want to add about Dr. Faustus that students, if you study Dr. Faustus, you will find that Dr. Faustus is the child of Renaissance. All his activities, all his approach and application, lust for knowledge, lust for more and more, appetite for more and more, appetite for adventures, appetite for the beauty in the last phase of the play, when the time period which was given by the representatives of Saturn, Beelzebub, Mephistopheles were there. So in the last phase, he asked for Helen. When he was asked that what is your last will, what you want to just take now when you are on the edge of your death, so he says that the most beautiful lady of the this universe, Helen. So this was the approach of Renaissance. A beauty, the quest for beauty, need for beauty, interest in beauty, and unsatisfied soul. Even when Helen was presented, he says that was this the face that launched the thousands ships and burned the topless tower of Ilium? He says, what is special in it? So this is the kind of appetite, lust for more and more, the spirit which can never be satisfied. The students, since the beginning of this drama till the end, you will find that actually Dr. Faustus is the representative of Renisha. He is a child of Renisha. So Dr. Foster stumbled in the great and very important creation. He has written a drama, The Mascara of Paris. The Mascara at Paris. You can note down this. Mascara at Paris. And next important play he has written, Dido, Queen of Carthage. Dido, D-E-D-O, D-I-D-O, D-I-D-O, Dido, the Queen of Carthage, C-A-R-T-A-G-E, Carthage, Dido of Carthage. Edward II, very remarkable creation. This is also a tragedy. Jew of Malta, yes, Jew of Malta. Jew of Malta is also one of the very most important creations ever written by Christopher Marlowe. And you must have in your mind that he was senior to William Shakespeare, and he is among the university wits also. Means he was a scholar. He was not a Sadak Chapman. Just kidding. Students, very few students, I think, are acquainted about the poetic talent. Dr. Faustus, the great creation, who is the writer of this creation, this great tragedy creation, Christopher Marlowe has also contributed in the field of poetry also. Students, he has written hero and leaders, and hero and leader is a creation in verse, and it was unfinished. Unfortunately, he died while he was just writing it. It was just finished by Chapman. You, these kinds of questions are often asked in the net examinations. Students, ki what is the creation which was unfinished by uh, Christopher Marlowe, or which is what is that creation which is in poetry form? So that is hero and leader. Hero, you can note down hero and leader. The translation of Ovid's elegies. Yes, the translation of Ovid's elegies is also very remarkable creation in verse ever written by Christopher Marlowe. Next important writer of this age is Chapman. Chapman is also very nice writer, and he is known for associating other writers and especially for translations. Chapman is very remarkable, Renisha, and yes, Thomas Heywood. Thomas Heywood also a very great writer of Renaissance period. Now, one man whom the Elizabethan literature, whom the Renisha can never forget. Yes, Ben Jonson. Yes, Ben Jonson. Yes, yes, you are right recognizing the man of Alchemist. Yes, the great creation Alchemist who has written this is Ben Jonson. Yes, Ben Jonson. He was born in 1572 and died in 1637. Ben Jonson. Students, great tragedies he has written, and so many comedies he has written. So among his comedies, A Tale of Tub, A Tale of Tub. You can note down these creations, and one by one you will just study it. The Tale of Tub, The Isle of Dogs, Tale of Tub, and The Isles of Dogs. These two great comedies were written by Ben Jonson. And Every Man in His Humor. Very, very important creation. Often asked in the examination. Every Man in His Humor by Ben Jonson. And Every Man Out of His Humor. Another very important comedy. Every Man Out of His Humor. These are his great creations, especially in comedies. Yes. One of another comedy, yes, Eastward Ho, Eastward Ho, E-A-S-T, East, W-A-R-D, Eastward Ho, H-O, Eastward Ho is another very important book ever written by Ben Jonson. Yes, Walpole, Walpole, V-O-L-P-O-N-E, Walpole, Walpole, V-O-L-P-O-N-E, Walpole is another very remarkable creation, and Nobody can, any literary student can never forget The Alchemist. Yes, Alchemist is another very important creation ever written by Ben Jonson. And among his great tragedies, Sejanus, yes, Sejanus, Sejanus. Sejanus is very remarkable creation. Yes, Kathleen. Kathleen is also very remarkable creation by Ben Jonson. And after this very great man, and you must have these two tragedies are often asked in the examination by Ben Jonson. Often students are acquainted about the comedies of Ben Jonson, but you must have in your mind that Sejanus and Catiline. Again, I am just repeating, Sejanus and Catiline. So these two creations are these two dramas are tragedies of Ben Jonson, and after that, in another literary artists of Renaissance, especially in Elizabethan period, it was Thomas Dekker, Francis Beaumont, John Fletcher. They have played a great impact on in Renaissance, especially in the field of literature, especially in the field of plays. And now we are moving towards the greats of Elizabethan period. The greats, yes, you are guessing right. Francis Bacon, yes, yes, Francis Bacon. You are studying from, I think, from BA second year. Francis Bacon, yes, Francis Bacon, Francis Bacon. You can never forget Francis Bacon, yes, 1561 to 1626. It means he was born in 1561 and died in 1626. Yes, Francis Bacon, you are guessing right that Francis Bacon was the father of English essay. He is a very great essayist. He has contributed a great in the field of prose and essay, and he is the man who has brought essay in England, just inspired by Montaigne. Yes, Montaigne was the father of essay. Yes, you can note down. Montaigne was the father of essay. Yes, but when anybody asks, anywhere is asked, who is the father of English essay? They will say that father of English essay is Francis Bacon, whom about you can never forget. Alexander Pope has said, if parts the allure think how Bacon signed brightest, wisest, but the meanest of mankind. You can never forget this quotation, students. He has contributed a lot in the field of essays. Some of his great creations we have now. And one thing very remarkable, that Francis Bacon has worked in several languages, in Italian, in French, in German, and in English, students. And Francis Bacon is a totally objective essayist, means he has never employed his personal life in his essays, and his essays are the group of those kinds of sentences which are proverbial. The proverbial quality his sentences, especially in his essays, are holding, means you can use his sentences as maxims. Yes, yes. Study, search for delight, for ornament and and ability. Yes, you are right guessing. In Of revenge, revenge is a kind of wild justice. His statements are maxims, and he has a quality, especially in his style. He is known for his aphoristic style. Yes, aphoristic style. As you know, that he offers a lot. He offers infinite in a little. A very great remark about Francis Bacon. He offers an infinite in a short. Yes, you are right guessing. About Bihari. Actually, my students are just guessing. I have already made a lecture in my class. Bihari. in Hindi, गागर में सागर भर दिया है. The very same kind of quality the essays of Francis Bacon holding. Students, you can never forget. And sometimes Francis Bacon becomes quite difficult. Obscurity of Bacon, what you call, because that sometimes his sentences of the essay are overloaded with the meaning. When he tries to just put a heavy and a strong meaning, all sort of meaning in a short sentence, so sometimes his sentences are overloaded with a lot of meaning. That's why it becomes sometimes difficult. And another thing that makes Francis Bacon difficult and obscure, that he is writing English essay and he is using French words sometimes, from sometimes Italian word, sometimes German words, especially Latin language. He has used too much. It seems that he was very much influenced by Italian language. Students, actually, his personal life is not very good. In personal life, he was not a very honest kind of man. But we don't want to just discuss all that. The things what were very interesting about Francis Bacon, I have made you clear. I will make a separate video on Francis Bacon later on. But here, and one another thing what is in right now in my mind, that Bacon is also the child of Renaissance. Students, Renaissance approach, you will find that especially in Renaissance, I have made clear that travelers has played very remarkable role. And in Of Travel, Francis Bacon has written a essay Of Travel. So this is also just clearing the, just producing the Renaissance spirit in it. And in all kinds of creations, his practical essays, the practical approach and application, the practical kind of thought he has just presented in his essays. You can just study his Of Marriage and Single Life. You can study his of simulation and dissimulation. Of truth, you can study the kind of approach what he has just put about truth. It is just contradicting the the men who used to just put methodical kind of approach. Yes, methodical kind of approach. So this can be controversial to them, because he has just put not those kinds of thought that satyameva jayate. He has presented the kind of thought about truth, that the truth which is relevant, that is to be followed. Heavy kind of concept, some ideological concept of truth can never be followed. So all those things he has put in his essays. So they are having the Renaissance touch, and this is the impact of Renaissance, especially on his essays. So few creations what I want to just put before you: the element of common law of England. This is very remarkable creation by Francis Bacon, the elements of common laws of England. Another very important creation, yes, the proficience and advancement of learning. The proficience and advancement of learning, very important creation. And another very important creation, wisdom of ancients. Yes, wisdom of ancients. You can note down these creations by Francis Bacon. Wisdom of ancient. Yes, another creation, novum agnum. Novum agnum. Very important creation. Novum. Novum arganum. 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 Another important creation by Francis Bacon is history of the reign of Henry VII. Yes, history of the reign of Henry VII. And another important creation, history of the winds. History of winds. And another creation, the new Atlantis. Very remarkable creation. This creation is very important. Just note down, this is often asked in the examination, the new Atlantis. Students, another very important writer among those greats of Elizabethan period is none other, yes, you are waiting, William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare. Yes, 1564, 1616. Yes, William Shakespeare. So about William Shakespeare, I will make a separate video. Here I am just making a little about William Shakespeare. He's a great sonneteer. He has written 154 sonnets. All are dedicated to his so-called beloved Dark Lady and his friend W.H. There is great controversy about W.H. and Dark Lady. What was his exact name? Nobody knows. How he has written all in in his sonnets. What is the rhyme scheme of his sonnets? All these things, A B A B C D C D E F E F G G, and his sonnets are following the pattern of English. They are called the English sonnets. Experience sonnet or English sonnet. So the theme of his sonnets is love and beauty, especially the appreciation of male